You know, it feels like the world of trucking is constantly buzzing with something new,
Always something, yeah?
whether it's whispers about changing freight rates or, a fresh set of regulations or just the everyday hustle on the highways.
Mhm.
There's always something to keep you on your toes.
Absolutely.
But in the middle of all that, some genuinely interesting things are developing, and that's what we're diving into today.
That's right. We've pulled together some really key pieces of information to try and get a clearer picture,
Ah,
what's happening now and what might be just around the bend.
it's okay.
So we're going to be looking closely at a potential tax relief package that's making its way through Congress.
Right.
Also, a truly fascinating idea for a hyper-connected relay system for moving goods.
Hmm. Interesting.
And then some of the cutting-edge technologies that were turning heads at ExpoCam 2025.
Exactly. And these aren't just separate stories floating out there in space, are they? They're all kind of connected.
They are, yeah. They influence the lives and futures of truckers out there in different ways.
It makes me think of something Hervey from Life.
Mm.
As a trucker often talks about, you've got to look at these things from all sides.
Mm-hmm. To
Uh,
really get the full picture.
yeah. So that's kind of our mission today,
Yeah.
to cut through the static, pinpoint what's truly significant in all this, and maybe give you some food for thought on how you can stay ahead of the curve.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that potential tax break.
Right. So there's this bill currently in the House, and it's creating a fair bit of discussion, especially within the American Trucking Associations, the ATA.
Okay.
They're quite vocal in their support, and, understandably so. It includes several measures aimed at offering some financial breathing room to the trucking industry.
Okay, so tell us more about what's actually in this bill. Like, what kind of changes could truckers potentially see in their bottom line?
Well, there are a few main parts. One of the most significant is the proposed extension of what's called 100% bonus depreciation.
Bonus depreciation.
Okay.
Now, in simple terms, depreciation is how businesses account for the wear and tear on their assets, like trucks, over time.
Right.
Bonus depreciation lets them deduct the entire cost of new equipment right away, instead of spreading those deductions out over several years.
Ah, okay. So all at once.
Exactly. So for the big fleets, the ones regularly buying new trucks and trailers, this can mean a pretty substantial tax grouping in the year they buy, which, can really help with cash flow.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a big advantage for the larger companies. What about the independent folks, the owner-operators, people running their own small businesses? Anything in there for them?
Yes. The bill also includes expanded deductions for small businesses.
Okay.
So this would allow them to deduct more of their everyday business expenses. Things like fuel, repairs, maybe even upgrades to technology in their cabs.
Right?
So for an owner-operator who's constantly looking for ways to manage costs, this could offer some welcome relief.
Sounds promising. However, and this is an important point, the actual benefit really depends on whether their business is profitable enough to take advantage of these deductions.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So it's not automatic.
Not automatic, no. It's like, a discount is only useful if you're buying something in the first place, right? You need the income to deduct against.
There's a really clear way to put it.
Hmm.
Okay. And what about company drivers, the folks who are employees? Do they see any direct impact from these tax changes?
Well, the bill does have an expansion of the child tax credit,
Okay.
which could certainly be beneficial for company drivers who have families.
Sure.
But for the majority of company drivers, the direct impact from most of these business-focused provisions, it'll likely be less significant. They don't typically have the same kind of business expense deductions that owner-operators do.
Right. Okay. So we're looking at a situation where the potential benefits could land pretty differently depending on your role in the industry.
Exactly.
So what's been the overall reaction? Like, who's happy about this and who has some reservations?
Well, the ATA, as we mentioned, they're strong advocates. They see it as a positive step, could help maintain stable freight rates, that kind of thing.
Mm.
The Truckload Carriers Association, the TCA, they're also generally supportive, though maybe a bit more cautious, wanting to see how the bill might get adjusted as it moves through the Senate. Okay. But then when you look at independent driver advocacy groups, you hear more skepticism.
Really? Why is that?
They often point out that the bill doesn't touch some of their biggest ongoing cost pressures. Things like the federal fuel tax, rising insurance premiums, permit fees. stuff that really squeezes smaller
Yeah,
operations.
those are huge.
Right. And honestly, from what we've gathered, many drivers out on the road might not even be aware of these proposed changes. Or if they are, they don't necessarily see a big personal impact in their day-to-day.
So the bottom line here seems to be, while this tax package is framed as good for trucking overall, the biggest direct financial advantages probably go to the larger fleets. And maybe those owner-operators already doing well.
That seems to be the consensus, yeah. Primarily benefits the larger players and profitable owner-operators.
And it's probably worth mentioning, too, with these kinds of changes, especially bonus depreciation, the IRS might be taking a closer look, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can bet they'll be paying close attention to those claims and business deductions. So keeping meticulous records, more important than ever.
Good point.
And, if we zoom out a bit, this whole situation kind of underscores that for individual drivers, just relying solely on legislative changes, well, it might not be the most dependable long-term strategy for your own financial well-being.
That's a really important takeaway. Okay, let's switch gears now. Let's talk about something that feels almost like science fiction. This concept of a hyper-connected relay trucking system. It sounds pretty revolutionary.
It is a truly forward-thinking idea. It's being explored as a potential, fundamental shift in how freight could move across the country. Maybe not tomorrow, but in the years to come.
Okay, so break it down for us.
Picture a system where instead of one driver tackling a massive cross-country haul, that whole journey is broken down into much shorter segments.
Quarter segments. Like how short?
Maybe in the range of, say, 100 to 200 miles each, something like that.
Okay, like a baton pass in a race, but with trucks. How would that actually work day to day?
Exactly. That's a good analogy. So drivers would handle these shorter regional legs. They'd pick up a loaded trailer at some kind of technologically advanced terminal.
A hub.
Yeah, a hub. Drive it to the next hub in the network, drop it, and then another driver takes over from there.
And who coordinates all this?
That's the hypo-connected part. The entire process, scheduling, routing, coordinating the trailer handoffs, would likely be managed by a sophisticated, probably AI-powered system behind the scenes.
Wow.
Yeah, aiming to keep freight moving efficiently, maybe even 24/7.
Okay, I can definitely see some potential upsides to a system like that. What are the big ways this model could, change things for drivers?
Well, one of the most talked about potential benefits is significantly more home time.
Ah, okay, that's huge.
Absolutely. Because the routes would be shorter and more localized, drivers could potentially be home every night, or at least much more often.
Which could mean less burnout, better retention.
Exactly. Less fatigue, reduced burnout, and hopefully better driver retention rates. That's the hope. It could also maybe open up opportunities for a more diverse pool of drivers.
How so?
Well, people who might not be able or willing to do the traditional long-haul routes, maybe parents who want to be home with their families more, or even, say, semi-retirees looking for more flexible part-time work.
Interesting. And for the freight itself?
From a logistical standpoint, with these continuous handoffs, freight could potentially move much faster from origin to destination. Fewer long breaks needed, maybe?
Those sound like some really attractive advantages, but I'm guessing there are different viewpoints on this model. Who's excited, who's maybe a bit hesitant?
Oh, definitely different views. Technology researchers, they're generally very enthusiastic. They see this as a natural fit with autonomous driving tech and advanced AI dispatch systems.
Okay.
Big trucking fleets are also showing interest. Some are even piloting similar regional hub-and-spoke models already, just on a smaller scale.
Right.
But you'll find many experienced long-haul drivers who are more skeptical.
Why is that? What are the concerns?
They might worry that this kind of system could sort of devalue the profession, turn a skilled job that offers a degree of independence into, just moving trailers between fixed points. Less autonomy, less freedom.
The road cowboy image changing.
Exactly. And owner-operators also have questions, like how would they fit in such a centrally managed network? Would it even be a profitable model for them? Lots of questions there.
It definitely sounds like a major shift from the traditional way of doing things. You mentioned automation fitting in. How would self-driving trucks play a role in a relay system like this?
Yeah, the relay system concept almost seems tailor-made for integrating autonomous vehicles.
How?
Well, you could potentially have self-driving trucks handle those long, less complex highway segments between the major hubs.
The long, boring stretches.
Right. While human drivers could focus on the trickier parts, The first-mile pickups, last-mile deliveries in cities, navigating complex loading docks.
So the human role changes.
It potentially evolves, yeah, from that classic road cowboy image to something maybe closer to a transportation technician who's working alongside and managing these advanced automated systems.
That's a fascinating evolution to consider. But what are the big hurdles? What needs to happen to make a system like this a widespread reality?
Oh, there are quite a few significant challenges. The infrastructure, for one, it just isn't in place yet.
You mean the hubs?
Yeah, we'd need substantial investment in building these new tech-heavy transfer hubs, plus the really sophisticated software to orchestrate the whole network.
And driver pay?
That's another huge one.
Yeah.
The compensation model for relay drivers would be complex. Would it be based on mileage per segment, hourly pay, some other metric? That needs figuring out.
Any other roadblocks?
Sure, you've got potential regulatory hurdles, discussions with labor unions about driver classifications, the fundamental changes to the job itself. Lots of friction points.
Okay. So while this hyperconnected relay system offers some really interesting possibilities for the future, especially around driver lifestyle and maybe faster freight, there are still a lot of big questions.
A lot of questions, yeah. Needs answers before it could become common practice.
It definitely sounds like something worth keeping in mind, as you said, when you're thinking about your long-term career path.
Absolutely. Understanding these potential future scenarios can help you think about what skills and adaptations might be valuable down the road.
Okay, let's bring our focus back to today, back to the present. Let's talk about some of the real, tangible innovations that were actually on display at ExpoCam 2025. Sounds like there was a lot of interesting tech being showcased.
There certainly was. ExpoCam is always a great place to see the latest advancements, what companies are developing to make the job safer, more efficient, and hopefully a bit easier. We picked out 6 specific products that really stood out, things that seem like they could have a direct impact on drivers' daily routines.
All right, let's get into them. First up, SmartDock Pro. What exactly does that do?
Okay, SmartDock Pro. It's an AI-assisted system, and it's designed to help with safety during that often tricky process of backing into loading docks.
Oh yeah, that can be stressful.
Totally. It uses a mix of sensors, cameras, and smart lighting to give drivers real-time guidance. Helps them maneuver more precisely, avoid accidents.
So fewer bumps and scrapes.
That's the idea. It could be a significant benefit, especially in tight spaces or, bad weather, low light conditions. Now, some drivers might initially be cautious about relying too much on tech.
Sure, I get that.
But the potential to reduce dock damage and, more importantly, prevent injuries, that's pretty substantial.
That sounds like it could definitely take some stress out of a part of the job many drivers find nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next on the list?
Next up is the FlexRide X9 suspension system.
Suspension? Okay, comfort.
Comfort, yes, but also cargo stability. It's an advanced suspension platform engineered to improve both the ride for the driver and keep the cargo stable, especially on rough roads or in bad weather.
So less bouncing around.
Exactly. A smoother ride means less wear and tear on the freight, potentially fewer claims, right? And a more comfortable, less fatiguing experience for the driver.
Win-win.
Yeah, as one driver we heard about put it, anything that helps both my back and the load I'm hauling, I'm all for it.
Huh. I think a lot of drivers would agree with that. A smoother ride makes a world of difference on long hauls.
What about fuel efficiency? Anything interesting there?
Yes, the EcoGrip fuel-efficient tires got quite a bit of buzz.
EcoGrip, okay.
These are low rolling resistance, all-season tires. The manufacturer claims they can offer up to an 8% improvement in fuel economy compared to standard tires.
8%. That's significant.
It really is, especially for owner-operators, who often feel the pinch of fuel prices most directly. That kind of saving could add up quite a bit over time.
But the catch is, well, the real test is always durability and performance in actual real-world driving conditions, right? Got to see how they hold up.
True. Fuel costs are always a huge concern, so that sounds promising if they deliver. What about keeping a closer eye on the cargo itself during the trip?
Right, that's where the LoadGuard telematics dashboard comes in.
LoadGuard, okay.
This is an AI-powered system providing real-time monitoring of conditions inside the trailer.
Like what?
It can alert drivers and dispatch if the cargo shifts unexpectedly, if the temperature goes out of range for refrigerated loads, or even if a door seal is broken.
So preventing problems before they become big problems.
Exactly. That increased visibility can be invaluable in preventing rejected loads, potential legal issues down the line, fewer headaches.
But does it mean more oversight?
That's a potential concern some drivers might have, yeah. the possibility of increased communication and oversight from dispatch. It's a
Wow.
trade-off.
Anything that helps avoid the dreaded rejected load sounds like a major win, though. Okay, now what about the paperwork side? That administrative stuff can be a real headache, especially for independents.
Exactly. So ExpoCam featured the Fleet Buddy AI assistant app.
Fleet Buddy, like a digital co-pilot.
That's the idea, yeah. It's designed to help manage ELD compliance, plan optimal routes, stand and organize documents,
Nice.
and even assist with rate negotiation for independent owner-operators.
Really? Rate negotiation?
That's what they're aiming for. If it's user-friendly and actually effective, this kind of app could be a real game changer in simplifying those admin tasks that eat up so much time.
That sounds like a tool that could really empower independent drivers and small fleet owners.
Mhm.
Okay, and the last piece of tech you wanted to highlight.
That's the QuickSwap battery-powered liftgate.
QuickSwap Liftgate. What's special about it?
It's powered by advanced lithium-ion batteries. They offer faster charging, longer operational life compared to traditional systems. But the really innovative feature is the modular battery pack. It allows for quick and easy swapping, no tools needed.
So less downtime waiting for a charge.
Exactly. This could significantly reduce downtime and maybe even physical strain for drivers doing lots of deliveries, local hauling, making multiple stops all day.
Makes sense for those P&D routes.
Mhm.
So it sounds like ExpoCam 2025 showcased a really diverse range of tech, all focused on making things, safer, more efficient, maybe even more comfortable right now.
That's the key takeaway, I think. While that long-term future with relay systems and automation is still unfolding, these current technologies are offering tangible improvements, things that can benefit drivers in their current roles today.
Okay. So as we bring this deep dive to a close, it's really clear, isn't it? The trucking industry is just this constantly evolving landscape.
Definitely.
You've got potential shifts coming from all over, legislative efforts in Washington, these innovative transport models maybe on the horizon, or the latest tech hitting the market right now. And, like Hervey reminds us, it really pays off to look at all these developments from multiple perspectives. Really try to understand the potential impact they could have on you.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to a really important point for everyone behind the wheel. Managing your time effectively. It isn't just about meeting delivery schedules for shippers, is it?
No, not at all. It's also about investing in your own future, your own well-being.
Exactly.
Utilizing that valuable off-duty time. Maybe learning new skills, exploring opportunities for, say, online income streams.
Yeah, resources like retirefromtrucking.com or lifehasitTrucker.com, they offer some great ideas along those lines, using that downtime proactively.
Right. It can provide a real sense of security and control, regardless of the changes that might be coming down the road in the industry itself.
Ultimately, while the world of trucking is always in motion, you, the drivers, you have agency. Thinking proactively about how these developments might personally impact your journey and taking steps to adapt, learn, grow. That's the most powerful way to build a secure future on your own terms.
A future you control.
Exactly. We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights to consider as you navigate the road ahead.
That's a fantastic thought to end on. Thanks for exploring these important topics with us today. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.